All right. Oh, we're here in the evening. Loving it, loving it. Mm, okay. Getting some, okay, beeps and all that stuff. All right, let's go. So we're going to get started here. We got a lot to go over tonight. Bunch to go over tonight. We're going to start with old DUI Hegseth because he's a douche, right? So he says he is stripping Senator Mark Kelly of military rank over his video that he made. Okay, so let's go on this. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth announced unprecedented administrative action against Senator Mark Kelly, accusing the Arizona Democrat of seditious conduct and initiating a process that could strip the retired Navy captain rank and reduce his military pension. Okay, so he's starting a process. Okay, um, they are posted to X this morning. He said the DoD had begun retirement grade determination proceedings. What is this? 10 USC 130F. Let's go. Search. Regular commissioned officers. Oh, okay. So it's retirement, general military law. Okay. Effective misconduct in lower grade determination of satisfactory service. Determination status is of an officer in a grade under paragraph 1 shall be made by the Secretary of the Military Department concerned if the officer is serving in a grade at or below the grade of Major General or Rear Admiral. Okay. So this is definition. Um, if the officer is serving or has served in a grade above the grade of Major. Okay. So that's not it. Okay. So this isn't going to be a simple process for him, right? Like this is a lot of type here. Um, so he is doing this against Senator Mark Kelly, citing public comments in which the senator urged, yep, and here's the thing: the senator urged service members to refuse illegal orders, which is exactly correct. He said nothing illegal or wrong. Hegseth also said he issued a formal letter of censure that would replace Kelly's permanent military personnel file, which Kelly does not care about at this point. Um, Okay. Dispute centers on a broader and increasingly heated debate between the Pentagon and domestic lawmakers on the legality of recent U.S. military operations. Yep, role of Congress in the role of members of Congress in questioning them. So there is also a law within the United States that allows for no retaliation for what is said. So the DoD can't go after Senator Mark Kelly um, because of this law for what he says, as long as yeah. So they're going to try. They're going to lose. Um, and the thing is, it is 100% Congress's job to oversee. That's why they have oversight committees, and it is their job to oversee the military. The military is the yeah. There's a reason that the oversight committee is not in the military. Um, they say that it undermines military discipline by casting doubt on the legality of duly authorized operations. So here's the thing: the United States military has already followed illegal orders. They have been deemed illegal by the courts when they deployed the National Guard to other cities, though that has been deemed illegal by the courts. These boat strikes are going to be they're up for question, but the international community has said that they are illegal. Um, we'll see how that works. The invasion and kidnapping of President Maduro in um, Venezuela and bringing him to the United States, the international community is and the UN saying it's legal. We're going to get into that here in a little bit. So they are 100%. A lot of orders that have been given by the United States military have been deemed illegal already in a court of law. Yeah, there's no yeah, you don't have to talk about Kelly's military career. Hegseth characterized a video released earlier this year by Kelly and five of the members of Congress as reckless and seditious. So let's look. What is sedition definition? Conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority or of a state or a monarch. So telling this is the equivalent of your fellow police officer telling you not to steal. It's that simple. don't steal that car. And then somebody getting mad about it, right? The police chief getting mad about it because he's told them not to steal that car. Um, the video reminded service members that they have a legal obligation to refuse illegal orders, a principle embedded in U.S. military law and laws of 100% correct. They said nothing illegal. Um, if telling people the law is undermining good order and military discipline, then that should tell you exactly all you need to know about DUI Hegseth. Confrontation follows mounting scrutiny over the legal justification for U.S. military actions in Latin America. Yep. On Sundays this week, Marco Rubio struggled to identify clear legal authority for such action. Yeah, because Marco Rubio knows that there's nothing here. Drawing criticism from lawmakers who argue that ambiguous or unsupported justifications heighten the risk of unlawful orders being issued or followed. Um, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Hegseth asserted that Kelly remains subject to military justice as a retired officer receiving retired pay and accused of violating Articles 133 and 134. Let's see. I know what 134 is. Oh, 133 is conduct unbecoming. Wait, what? 133, let's see. Applies specifically to commissioned officers punished action that dishonored the individual in their official capacity. Okay, 134, general. Yeah. Um, so 133 UCMJ. Here we go. Let's see. House.gov. Here we go. We'll get the official. Yeah, I know what 134 is, right? But what's 133? 133. Conduct on becoming an officer in general. Okay, so let's talk about these. 133 is conduct on becoming. This is a very general um, article that is difficult to prove a lot of times, depending on the situation and everything else, saying that basically you did something that brought dishonor to the military or yourself or your fellow officers or whatever the case may be. But it's very general. It can be very subjective. Article 134 is a general, very broad. So Article 134 is there in case they want to punish you, but there's nothing specific that they can punish you for. Okay, so if they have nothing specific to punish you for, they do Article 134. Yeah, move is highly unusual. When retired officers technically remain subject to UCMJ and the limits of the authority is rarely invoked. Yeah, it's especially post-retirement political speech by a sitting member of Congress. Like, yeah, um, you don't go after here. This is why it's petty. You don't go after somebody who served honorably for something they did afterward, right? There are certain things like if you get thrown in jail, you can lose um, your benefits and stuff like that from the VA and everything else. That is a stipulation in there. So, but it's usually you don't go after their retirement, like unless they're like really bad, right? Um, Kelly has not publicly responded. The announcement is likely to prompt legal challenges, congressional scrutiny. Yeah. So that's exactly how that goes. Here's the deal. He served honorably. He earned his retirement. Um, there's no doubt about that. Nobody can question his service at all. This is a petty, small, limp dick fucking move by Hegseth. This is Senator Kelly slapped Hegseth upside the face and exposed the fact that they are issuing and ordering people to commit illegal activities. They're forcing the military to break the law, whether it's international or United States or whatever the case may be. And Senator Kelly came out and actually said that they were doing this. And there's also the what is it called? The speech and debate clause. Article 1, Section 6 of the United States Constitution grants immunity for legislative acts, preventing lawsuits or criminal actions, charges for official statements or actions within Congress, except for treason, felony, and breach of the peace. He did none of those. There was none of that, right? So that means that, and that article is there so that congressmen and can speak what they need to. They can say what they need to, as far as far as they need to go. They can sit there and call people out. They can go out there and call them dipshits if they want to, and they can't get in trouble for it. As long as they're not, ordering, somebody to go kill somebody else, like DUI Hegseth is. Um, so yeah, he's safe. He's not going to. They're going to try this, and there's a reason that they did not go after him. They did not reactivate him. So retired personnel can be reactivated into the military if they need to be punished for something by the military. Um, the thing is, though, is I'm sure the lawyers told Hegseth that if they brought him back and tried to court martial him, he would be embarrassed in court. 100% he would be totally embarrassed because there's nothing to punish him for. He didn't break the law in any way. So they are going in a roundabout way of doing it so that they don't recall him, so that he doesn't have actual his day in court and everything else. And there's things like this that happen in the military. I'm going to tell you, they have a lot of leeway in things like this, but it's going to be one of those things that is very interesting to somebody who has been um, in the military for a while. So, okay. Oh, can I get this or no? No, I don't want to claim any offer. Oh, it won't let me. Darn it. Um, let's see. Let me see if I can find. Nope, that one's crap. UN news. Okay. Uh huh. Uh huh. Uh huh. Okay. So, oh, do I need to? Oh, we're in English. Okay, so this is an interesting one. So this is Le Monde. It's a French newspaper, um, talking about Venezuela and international law as far as the attack on Venezuela. While the international community has condemned the U.S. aggression against Venezuela, including the UN has said that it violates international law. Um, it often doesn't go further than that. Yet, according to many diplomats and law experts, the American operation was a clear violation of the United Nations Charter, the foundation of international relations between states for the past. Yep. UN Secretary, Attorney General. Um, oh wow, I'm gonna have to subscribe to read the full. Let me see. Copy. Let me get a. Maybe I can read the full story here. Okay. Oh nope, it's not gonna work there. All right. So UN Secretary General warned of a dangerous precedent and calling for full respect by all of international law. Others, particularly among Western nations, mainly praise the fact that this act of aggression, um, that the act of aggression to adopt terms of the UN Charter succeeded in stopping a dictator. Mm. But in London, Paris, Brussels, references to international law seemed half-hearted, as though it had become obsolete in a world increasingly governed by force. It has taken a country such as South Africa, which itself faced criticism from the U.S. president in recent months for bringing a case against Israel before the ICEI, to strongly reiterate the principles of international law as a violation. All right, so basically they're saying that it is a violation of international law for him to have gone in there and attacked another country and kidnapped their president, because it's you can't kidnap a president of another country to bring them to your country to face law, to face court. They didn't even do it with Saddam Hussein. We captured him after we invaded his country illegally, and then we didn't put him through our court though. So yeah, I don't. All right, so we're gonna listen to Dick Cheney's daughter, who is a Republican, and Republicans are reeling in the face of this. So we're gonna see what she has to say, because she is just whoof.
Tonight, I say this to my Republican colleagues who are defending the indefensible. There will come a day when Donald Trump is gone, but your dishonor will remain.
All right, so she's wrong in the fact that she thinks that Republicans have any honor. All right, so let's talk about that. Republicans have Nazi flags, Nazi emblems in the Capitol building, in their offices. The Young Republicans, which ranges in age from like 18 to like 40 are talking about putting people in gas chambers and saying they love Hitler. And you have multiple members of the Republican Party giving the Nazi salute. The Republican Party is 100% a Nazi organization through and through. Easy enough. Thinking anything other than that is just wrong. So we'll see how that goes. Uh, so we also have here the president of Mexico. If you didn't know, Trump has threatened many countries in the Western Hemisphere, from South America all the way to Central America. The We've had a few of them call him out on it. So first one is Mexico. After the United States terror bombed Venezuela, President Claudia Sheinbaum, who, by the way, is an extremely intelligent and well educated woman, she makes Donald Trump look like a kindergartner. Um, we're not, she says, we're not Venezuela. We're ready to crush any foreign meddling. With 200 million fierce Mexicans worldwide and 600 million Latin American warriors in our corner on every street and every barrio, sovereignty isn't negotiable, hands off or feel the fire, non intervention or bust. Strong words. She's not wrong. There are a lot of Mexican people in the United States. I live in southern Texas, so I mean, it's just a way of life. I grew up in southern New Mexico. That's just how it goes, right? So, yeah, um, I don't think Donald Trump understands that if he goes into Mexico, because Mexico is one of the countries that he threatened because the cartels are there, not only is he going to, old man getting ready for bed, not only is he going to have the cartels on him, he is going to have every single Mexican within Mexico, as well as Mexicans within the United States, completely turning on him and sabotaging and everything else. And so, yeah, that's not a fight you want to pick. Um, the other one, let's listen to the president of Colombia, I believe it is. So let's see. Hopefully, this is not all in Spanish, but we'll see.
Un clan de pedófilos quiere acabar la democracia en Colombia. Duro, sí, pero ahí está la realidad. Y
Okay, so I'm going to read this while he goes through, and that way we can see what's going on. The clan of pedophiles
un clan de pedófilos quiere acabar la democracia en Colombia.
Wants to destroy democracy in Colombia.
Duro,
Harsh,
sí,
yes, but that's the
pero
reality.
ahí está la realidad. Y para
And
que
to
no
keep
salga
the
la lista.
lists, speaking of the Epstein list, from coming out, they send warships to kill fishermen from this city and threaten the neighbor, talking about dictator and so on. So, yes, a lot of cocaine comes from Colombia, and Trump has threatened Colombia too because of that. Although, even though he's threatening Colombia, right, because of drugs, he says that one of the reasons that he arrests that they went and got Maduro is because of drugs and cocaine and them trafficking, but not like in the last month. He actually, or like 2 weeks ago, he actually pardoned the former president of Honduras, who was found guilty and was serving jail time, and he pardoned him, but he was found guilty of bringing in hundreds of tons of cocaine into the United States. So, yeah. Threaten the neighbor, talk about dictator, and so on, as if the people of Colombia would applaud an invasion of their brother, which is not the president, but the people of Venezuela. Mm-hmm. So he's doing smart here. He's saying that the people of Colombia, they will support the people of Venezuela, not the president, because Maduro is not a good guy, but they'll support the people, and will help fight back against an invasion of Venezuela. When would we ever be so treacherous and sold out, betraying our own blood? Uh huh. Uh huh. Or the people of Ecuador, or the people of Panama, or the people of Venezuela, the entire region, really. They are our own people. Yep. Yep. So they want the president to do what the coward Ivan Duque wanted to do, to lend Colombia's land so that from there they could invade a brother country that shares the same history as us. Oh, okay. So they wanted, apparently, they went to Colombia and said, hey, let us invade from your country. Because Bolivar was born there and came to die here in the city, it cannot be a president of Colombia that would do that, would be cursed by future generations, because you would never be forgotten as a traitor, which Trump is never going to be forgotten. He will, as a traitor. It's not going to be a Benedict Arnold. It's going to be a Donald Trump. Mark my words. I do not belong to those who wanted to kill Bolivar. The government of Venezuela has made many criticisms, but I do not mock the people of Venezuela. So he's smart. He is showing that there's a difference between the government of Venezuela, the president of Venezuela, and the people of Venezuela, which is the same in the United States. Nor would I set a trap for the people of Venezuela to fall into the trap of an invasion that is only about their oil, driven by greed and violence. Yup. To turn this beautiful corner of South America into an Syria, in another Iraq, another Libya, full of slaves, slave trading, new forms of slavery, Epstein's list, his friends, those who don't want the list to be published in the United States, which is, yeah, Trump especially. They want to use us here with violence so that the people of the United States don't think about their own government. So, dude, man, this dude is awesome. He is like straight up calling everything happening in the United States out, but instead get consumed by xenophobia, racism, ideas of racial superiority, and other false beliefs. Yep, and they use us to avoid addressing their own problems. The president of Colombia has spent decades denouncing drug traffickers, and the drug traffickers he has denounced have always been the ruling elite in Colombia, and they've been ruling the state. All right, dude, man, he said it all. That dude didn't give two shits, right? Holy mackerel! Oh, jeez. All right. So with that, I gotta go check my beans. Yeah, I've been cooking beans um, for quite a few hours, and they are almost done. So let me go check them real quick. Okay, beans are almost there. We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay, so next one is talking about Europe must unite or it's finished. This is from Poland. All right. Warns as Trump salivates over Greenland. Yeah. One for all for one. Um, okay. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk issued a dire warning about the future of Europe, saying the continent is finished without unity. Sure. following a week that saw fractures in the stances of EU countries on foreign policy. Tusk, a pro European centrist, wrote on social media Monday that Europe won't be taken seriously if it's weak and divided. Neither, yep, it's, united we stand, divided we fall, for sure, in Europe. Because no single country in Europe is strong enough to stand up to the United States at all, in any way. It's already clear now. We must finally believe in our own strength. We must continue to arm ourselves. We must stay united like never before. One for all and all for one. Otherwise, we are finished. Sure. And this comes right after, of course, Trump going in and invading Venezuela and kidnapping their president. Um, and then Trump started saying that he wanted to take control of Greenland again. I don't know where this shit comes from, but he wants to take care of control of Greenland, the self-ruling Danish territory that he has long coveted. We need Greenland from a national security situation. So we don't. I mean, if we had Greenland, it would be a vital national security spot. I watched a video on it today, and it would be 100% vital national security if it was not controlled by one of our allies. He said, we'll deal with Greenland in about 2 months. Let's talk about Greenland in 20 days. He didn't say anything else. So 2 months for Greenland? Those remarks came after the U.S. launched strikes on Venezuela and arrested its leader, Nicolas Maduro. Annexing the Arctic island would make absolutely no sense. Prime Minister, Danish Prime Minister said, and it would violate NATO, right? Because Denmark is a member of the EU. They're a member of NATO. They're the ones who control, or Greenland is a part of Denmark, right? So it's Danish. So it's if we were to take over the Greenland, then we would be violating NATO. We would be violating uh, the EU. We would be violating the Danes. I mean, it would just be really bad. The EU's response to U.S. intervention in Venezuela, it's not intervention, we invaded, has been somewhat varied. High Representative Kaja Kallas calls for restraint in a statement that garnered support of 26 member countries minus Hungary. Spain, meanwhile, split from the EU and joined 5 Latin American countries in a far more forceful statement slamming Washington's attack on Venezuela's sovereignty. Okay. While most EU member countries have issued their own cautiously worded statements urging respect for international law, Italy struck a more approving note, calling military action legitimate against hybrid security attacks. Slovak Prime Minister was scathing, saying the U.S. incursion in Venezuela was further evidence of the breakdown of the world order. He said, liberal world order is in disintegration. For sure. For sure. It is a complete breakdown of world order. It is 100% back to might is right, which breaks everything down. If we go back to might is right, we are no better than wild animals. It's that simple. And this is an easy way to begin another serious confrontation with other countries. Let's go to, let me see if I can get this one or if it's going to make me. All right. So this says 5 Europeans denied US visas for combating hate speech online. So they were against hate speech online and they were accused of censoring American viewpoints from the US State Department. I want to hear this. Um, okay. The State Department announced Tuesday it was barring 5 Europeans accused of leading efforts to pressure U.S. tech firms to censor or suppress American viewpoints. The Europeans described by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who's a piece of fucking work, as radical activists and weaponized non-governmental organizations. Fell afoul of a new visa policy announcing in May that restricts the entry of foreigners deemed responsible for the censorship of protected speech in the United States. Um, for far too long, ideologues have led organized efforts to coerce American platforms to punish American viewpoints they oppose. The Trump administration will no longer tolerate these egregious acts of extraterritorial censorship. What did they do? Social media, okay. They include leaders of organizations that address digital hate and a former European Union commissioner who clashed with Elon Musk because Elon Musk is not a good representative of American viewpoints in any way, not even close. He is a Nazi and he is not the viewpoints of America at all. Essentially, serious adverse foreign policy consequences for this. Okay. Reuters called Breton, a French business executive, the mastermind behind the EU's Digital Service Act, to impose strict requirements designed to keep internet users safe online. Sure, we want people to be able to freely express themselves online for sure, but in a civil way. Okay, not like the MAGA people who go on there and want to, say horrible things about people. They're racist, they're sexist, they're everything. Or how about the young Republicans who were hailing Hitler and saying that they wanted to kill people, right, in gas chambers? So she referred to Brett warning Musk of a possible application of harmful content by broadcasting his live stream interview with Trump in August when Trump was running for president. Okay, yeah, the EU goes and actually says you can't do a whole lot of stuff. The Digital Service Act, I got no issues, is McCarthy's witch hunt back. 90% of the European Parliament and all 27 member states unanimously voted for this act. To our American friends, censorship isn't where you think it is, for sure. France condemns the visa restriction measures taken by the United States. Sure, they got to say that. Online application prior to arrival under a system run by the Department of Homeland Security. As a result, it is possible that at least some of the 5 individuals have been flagged to DHS. Speaking on condition of anonymity, I should go overseas and try and come back. So I'm an American citizen. I obviously post anti-Trump, anti-Republican rhetoric daily. I wonder if they would let me back into my own country as an American citizen, or if they would say that I'm posting un-American things online. I wonder. I should try it. All right, so this next one, Lindsey Graham admits um, plans to topple the Cuban government coming up. So we're gonna see how this works. Let's see what the hell he says.
Could have done it. And as to this commander-in-chief, he did something people talked about doing. You just wait for Cuba. Cuba is a communist dictatorship that's killed priests and nuns. They've preyed on their own people. Their days are numbered.
Lindsey Graham is a Republican, therefore he has preyed on his own people too.
We're going to wake up one day, I hope in 26, in our backyard, we're going to have allies in these countries doing business with America, not narco-terrorist dictators killing Americans. This is a big frigging day. And everybody in the world is thinking differently than they were just a few days ago.
Okay, so he's threatening Cuba. He's also saying that people around the world
because of what you did.
So he is politically savvy in this statement. Think about it. At the end, he said everybody is thinking differently than they were a few days ago about the United States because of what Donald Trump did. So he's taking the blame off of himself 100% while praising Donald Trump at the same time. So he's stroking Donald Trump's ego and he's taking the blame from himself. The problem with this is that he is praising the invasion of another country and he's saying that we're going to do the same to Cuba, which is another country. Yeah, I don't think these old ass fucking white dudes realize what's coming to them. I don't think they understand, like truly understand, because it's let's listen to that again. I want to exactly.
Americans. This is a big frigging day. And everybody in the world is thinking differently than they were just a few days ago because of what you did.
They are thinking differently. They're thinking worse. And I didn't think it would be possible. Well, I did think it would be possible to make America look worse. Donald Trump has done, and the Republicans have done a fantastic job of making us look worse than we already did. Just by voting him in, we look like a fucking bunch of tool bags. It's that simple. Um, so it's one of those that it's interesting. But yeah, of course they look at us differently. They look at us like we're pieces of shit, and it's that simple. And it sucks because there are people like me who don't agree with their policies in any way, shape, or form. Didn't vote for Donald Trump. Don't want any of that bullshit at all. And now I'm stuck being represented by them. It's pretty bad. We have a lot of fucking idiots here in this country. Tens of millions of them. All right. This one is Jessica Tarlov steamrolls Fox hosts over Minnesota fraud frenzy. So I did a video on this the other day. The fraud is actually just stuck up. We're actually going to talk about the fraud here in a little bit. And let me see where that is. There it is. We're going to talk about that next. But this person apparently makes Fox News look like idiots, which is not hard because Fox News is filled with a bunch of morons. So here we go. Let's see this. I love watching idiots get steamrolled.
We'll say lastly, that fraud should be stamped out everywhere. You should take it seriously. And I'm particularly upset, and I've said this now third time, that people took COVID money, abused that while folks were dying, while kids weren't allowed to go to school. The country was completely in uproar, rightly so, people scared out of their minds. But Donald Trump and his administration has not taken fraud seriously. You have Philip Esform, who was the healthcare executive, speaking of healthcare, which is part of this, a nursing home mogul, I didn't even know you could be one, orchestrated the largest healthcare fraud scheme in U.S. history, $1.3 billion, commuted by Trump. David Gentile, the private equity guy, $1.6 billion, he defrauded people. Trump commuted his sentence. And then an oldie but a goodie, obviously Trump University, which had to pay $25 million settlement because it was a scam. Do not go out there and say this is all a liberal problem if you don't want to look under the hood of your own car.
Yeah. Anybody who thinks, all right, so here's a general knowledge. If somebody is ridiculously rich, they got there by being a piece of shit. There's no way to get ridiculously rich without being a piece of shit. It's that simple. Period. And so, yeah, it's just how it works. So she's absolutely correct. And when they say commuted, the other word for that is pardoned. So they went, commuted means he waived his sentence, basically. But pardon is easy enough. So with that, let's talk about this Minnesota fraud. Okay, so we have a news story here. No, I don't want to get emails from you. Why can I not? Dude. All right, so let me see if I can find a story on this. Okay. Okay, yeah, here we go. Let me see. Ooh, maybe there's a video. Okay, let's see what this video is here. Yep. Okay, there's a little commercial here first, I think. Yeah, so this is about the Nick Shirley, the YouTuber, who supposedly exposed all of the fraud and everything going on in Minnesota when he really didn't. Like I said, I did another video on TikTok on this, just a quick one. So we're going to listen to this, see how it goes, and what they say.
But he also says this video speaks to the power of social content.
Our caucus has been working to expose fraud for years, including working with Nick Shirley.
Minnesota House GOP leaders say they provided the YouTuber with information in the now viral video, where 10 child care centers were mentioned.
Much of the information that one of the gentlemen in that video was providing was due to information he got from the House Republican staff.
The Minnesota House Republican Caucus says this is a part of their effort calling for increased oversight and accountability when it comes to combating fraud in the state. The Minnesota Department of Children, Youth and Families Commissioner says each of the sites in question have been visited unannounced in the past 6 months, and the state has no evidence of fraud at this time. In response, Minnesota Senate Majority Leader Aaron Murphy released this statement that reads in part, quote, "Sending a YouTuber to drive around demanding that he gets to see children isn't an investigation, it's creepy." And now tens of thousands of Minnesota families will pay the price as Donald Trump's agents strip away crucial funding. And we asked Hamline University political science professor David Schultz to weigh in on what this means for Minnesota's political climate.
Treat these on one hand as allegations, but on the other hand, given the fact that the GOP, including the Speaker of the House, worked with them, and remember, she's also running for governor, how much do we treat this as, let us say, factually true versus do we treat this as a political campaign ad? So we need to sort those things out.
And state officials say they're reviewing each side again to check on the claims raised.
Okay, so if you did not keep up with this story, okay, what happened is that there was this YouTuber, Nick Shirley, who was a total nobody, okay, like almost as bad as me. And he went and showed up with a viral video, or with a video that went viral, and it's supposedly exposed millions or tens of millions of dollars worth of taxpayer money being used by Somali daycares in Minnesota to scam and get money, even though they did not have he said that they did not have children there, but they were taking in money for children, right? So they were just pocketing the money instead of having actual children there. As people, the video went viral because the internet is stupid, and the he went viral. He became super popular, all of that stuff, jump started his career. And with that being said, they found that he actually went to those um, daycares mainly outside of business hours, which means that there were no kids there because parents had already picked their kids up, right? But that's not how he presented it. Therefore, people, and of course, people on the internet don't look further than skin deep. So um, that was the first part, and that's went viral. It was like a 40-minute video, and that went viral, saying, "Oh my God, look at all this fraud that Democrats are doing and everything else." If you dive a little deeper, there was actual fraud within the child care and daycare system within Minnesota. But the mastermind of it was not a Somali woman or a Somali person. It was a white American Republican woman who was the mastermind of the entire thing. She has been in jail. All right, she is in jail, I believe. In 2025, she went to jail after being prosecuted for this very thing. And they have actually cleaned up a bunch and everything else. The state authorities, the law enforcement, tried to do investigations, but federal law enforcement, the FBI, told them not to because they're doing investigations and state cannot interfere with federal investigations. So the state tried to stop the funds from going to these daycares, and a judge told them no, and then held the state in contempt when they said, wait a minute, this is wrong. So now we're finding out that Republicans within Minnesota Congress gave information to Nick Shirley, this YouTuber of no real anything, right? Nobody heard of him until this story came out, really. He had like 7,000 followers, which is nothing in the world of social media. So the GOP, the Republicans, gave him information so that he could make a story so that it would go viral. And there was an unknown man in the video with him. Nobody knew who he was. They now have identified him as a member of the Republican Party within Minnesota that was there to basically be an escort for him to show him how to do everything and make it look good and all of that stuff. So this whole entire story was actually fraudulent and a fraud set up by the Republican Party within Minnesota. The entire thing was a fake story by the Republicans to take control of Minnesota, and it also allowed Trump to go in with his little ice Barbie is there and everything else, and they are doing bad shit now. against the Somali population who are just victims of a fraudulent video by a YouTuber named Nick Shirley. So it's all a Republican scam, is what it comes down to. But anyway, let's go on. So if you don't know, I don't have anything specific for this, but um, companies like Walmart, retailers like Walmart, Target, things like that, they're removing prices from products within their store. Oh. And then they are doing what's called surge pricing. Now, if you don't know, surge pricing is where there's no set price for a service or a product. Let's say Uber does this, okay? If you are going home at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, let's say, you're going home from work. That's not a lot of demand there, so prices will be lower to get you to use their service. They're going to be low. If you're trying to go home at rush hour, prices go up, right? Because there's a huge demand, and so the prices are going to go up. Lower the demand, lower the prices, higher the demand, higher the prices. Now, Target, if you go to a store, a retailer, and they do not have prices on their items, Target is already doing this. It's already being reported. They are having prices on lots of clothing items, or they're removing prices from clothing items so they can do surge pricing. But now we have reports from Walmart that Walmart is replacing the price stickers with electronic shelf labels across 2,300 stores, which is what they do before they start surge pricing. And they're talking about raising the price of water when it's hot outside. Water. Yeah. So, um, one person says, if it's hot outside, we can raise the price of water is a phrase that should automatically get you imprisoned in the stocks in the town square and pelted with garbage. For sure. Water is something, it is a required resource. There should be a set price and it should be set, and there shouldn't be allowed to change it. Um, so now this one is interesting. Um, so this I can't read it very well. Let me get my glasses here, and then I'll bring it up on the screen. Oh, I need to clean these. Okay, so let me zoom in here. All right, this isn't going to be the greatest, but we'll work it. Okay, so this is guidance for going to school. This is from a school um, that is having attendance issues. And if you know, if you have kids or anything else, even if you don't have kids right now, is tis the season for people to get sick, taking, going to work, going to school. Everybody's sick. Kids are sick. They're wiping their noses, everything, right? So, um, this is health guidance for going to school because apparently the school is having attendance problems, and I know the school my kids go to requires 90% attendance, right, for them to get credit. Otherwise, they don't get credit for their that semester. So here we go. Make sure to send children to school if they are generally healthy and well. Okay, sure. Participating in usual day-to-day activities. Sure. Children can even go to school. Now they're making exceptions. All right, can even go to school if they have a mild cold, which may include a runny nose and or cough, because everybody wants kids that have a cold, right? Everybody loves it when your kid is hacking up a lung and also, has a runny nose all the time, has postnasal drip, so they have a sore throat. They get nauseous because they're swallowing so much snot. Everybody loves that, right? They have eye drainage without fever, eye pain, or eyelid redness. Okay, if you have eye drainage, there's something going on, man. You need to go see a doctor. So, and even for the ER, the rules of the ER that are pretty good to live by is you go to the emergency room if you have, if you're in danger of losing your life, a limb like an arm, or your eyesight, right? That's when you go to the emergency room. So, yeah, if my kid's eye is draining, we're probably, and it's not like the usual sleepy, crusty type stuff, we're probably going to go see the doctor. Um, they have a mild stomach ache. Yeah, because that's what you want, a kid to puke as soon as they walk into class all over everybody else and all that shit. If they have a mild rash with no other symptoms, what kind of rash are we talking about here? Like, what kind of rash are we talking about? They have head lice. Okay, this one got me. They have head lice. Though they are annoying and should be treated, lice are not a reason to exclude a child from school. Listen, they are 100% a public health issue, and they 100% keep your kids at school and treat them, and do not send them to school with lice until you are 100% sure that they are done with lice. Do not send them to school. I have 5 daughters. We have had lice outbreaks in their school, and they come home with lice. Having, and there were four, this happened on four with long hair, plus my wife. I obviously don't have issues with that. Four girls with long hair with lice is a nightmare. And it takes forever to guarantee that they are all gone. Period. Now imagine a classroom or school with hundreds or possibly thousands of students, man. No, lice is not a reason, not a reason to go and send your kids to school. Um, that is disgusting. If they haven't had a fever overnight and they have not taken fever reducing medicine during that time, overnight, okay. What does overnight mean? Are you talking your overnight? Or are you talking your kids' overnight? What if your kids did not sleep very well? Right? Um, So the general rule is if the fever breaks and they have not had medication to keep it down for at least 24 hours. That's the general rule. Okay. Avoid keeping children at home unless they are too sick to participate. Please see the back of this handout for details. Note that in most situations, a healthcare provider's note is not needed to return. Children may also avoid school due to anxiety. Symptoms for anxiety may include decreased appetite, feeling tired, stomach ache, headache, etc. So if they have it says up here that they don't need to go to school if they have a mild stomach ache. But down here it says a stomach ache can be anxiety. If you're worried that your child may be suffering from anxiety, talk with your teacher, the school nurse, social worker, or other school staff to discuss the challenge and identify what you can help your child stay in school. Okay. If your child has a compromised immune system or is at high risk for complications from common illnesses, please talk to your school about developing a plan with you and your child's health provider to keep your child healthy and safe while attending school. Please note, this document is not meant to take the place of local health department/school district guidance, including about contagious illnesses such as COVID-19 and the flu. So this is put out by Kaiser Permanente and NASN, and a health insurance company. I'll put this out. This is not good advice. You should never follow this advice when it comes to sending your kid to school or not. Ever. I'm just saying. Like, listen, I am a parent who 100% looks at my kids, and unless they are running a fever or they are vomiting, I do my best to get them to school. If they have one of those two things, it's an automatic you're staying home from school. If my kids tell me that they are not feeling well, like enough that they're willing to tell me that they don't think they need to go to school, I let them stay home. My kids have learned that they go to school if they can. They enjoy school for the most part, as much as teenagers can. Um, they do not want to not go to school. So, yeah, those are bad, bad ideas about not sending your kid to school. And they're trying to boost attendance, I guess, with these health guidance. And the problem with that is they're going to get more people sick, potentially with life threatening illnesses, if they send them to school for that. So, and it's just, I don't understand how that works at all. And now we're going to go to this next one, which is even better. It goes right in line with this. This is where the stupid comes from, right here, people. The US drops the number of vaccines it recommends for every child with this dumb motherfucker right here. God bless. I cannot stand RFK Jr. in any way. I think if I came face to face with him, I'd probably just punch him in the face just because. just because. Um, he's going to get my vote for most punchable face for today, for sure. Uh, yeah, I'm not dealing. No, 100% punchable face, but for this dude for the day. All right. The U.S. took the unprecedented step Monday of cutting the number of vaccines it recommends for every child, a move that leading medical groups say would undermine protections against a half dozen diseases. That's bad. The change is effective immediately. They now recommend that all children get vaccinated against 11 diseases. What's no longer broadly recommended is protection against flu, rotavirus, Hep A or Hep B, some forms of meningitis or RSV. Instead, protections against those diseases are only recommended for certain groups deemed high risk or when doctors recommend them in what's called shared decision making. Trump administration officials said the overhaul won't result in families who want the vaccines losing access to them and said insurance will continue to pay, but medical experts said the decision creates confusion for parents who could increase preventable diseases. Yes, 100%. We want to prevent as many diseases as we possibly can. Totally, right? We want to keep our kids safe. We want to keep adults safe. States, not the federal government, have the authority to require vaccination for school children, which I think is totally wrong, by the way. This is 100% a public health issue. Public health trumps your rights in a lot of cases. And every single child should be required to get every vaccine that they are capable of receiving. Um, Vaccination rates have been slipping, and the share of children with exemptions has reached an all time high, according to federal data. At the same time, rates of disease that can be protected against with vaccines, such as measles and whooping cough, are rising across the country. We are about to lose our eradication. Um, uh, the fact that we are a country that our eradication, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't remember. But basically saying that we have eradicated measles with the country, we're about to lose that standing. We're about to lose that little certification there because people are not getting the MMR vaccine. It is primarily attacking people who are unvaccinated, and these people are idiots. 100%. I don't care how educated you are. I don't care what you do. If you refuse to vaccinate your children or yourself, you're an idiot. Plain and simple. And you should be thrown in idiot jail and forced to get these vaccines for the sake of everybody else that's not an idiot because we need herd immunity to make it safe for everybody. And you are hurting that. You are hurting every single other person in this country by not getting vaccinated and putting everybody else above the few, the many above the few is something that we really need to do when it comes to public health and people actually dying. Kids are dying from measles, which we've had eradicated for decades. So it's I understand freedoms, I understand choice. There are things that there's no choice. There should be no choice, especially when it comes to children. They don't know better. Review came at the request of President Trump. So now we have President Trump, who is one of the dumbest people on the planet, telling another one of the dumbest people on the planet on how to handle healthcare. Neither of them have any healthcare training or experience other than going to hospitals because they're old as fuck and they're about to die. That's it. U.S. Department of Health and Services said the overhaul was in response to a request from Donald Trump in December. Trump asked the agency to review how peer nations approach vaccine recommendations and consider. Its comparison of 20 peer nations found the U.S. was an outlier in the number of vaccines and the number of doses. To increase public trust by recommending only the most important. The decision protects children, respects families, and rebuilds trust. No, it doesn't. Not at all. Notice how they don't say what the countries are. So no transparent review of the data. This is Michael Osterholm of the Vaccine Integrity Project, based at the University of Minnesota. He said abandoning recommendations for vaccines that prevent flu, hepatitis, and rotavirus, and changing the recommendation for HPV without a public process to weigh the risks and benefits will lead to more hospitalizations and preventable deaths among American children. HPV is something we can eliminate in this country if everybody gets it. My kids get it. HPV causes cervical cancer. Why would we not want to prevent that? Dr. Sean O'Leary of the American Academy of Pediatrics said countries carefully consider vaccine recommendations based on levels of disease in their populations, their health systems. You can't just copy and paste public health, and that's what they seem to be doing here. Literally, children's health and children's lives are at stake. Yep. And they should be prosecuted for every death that happens from a preventable disease. RFK Jr. should be thrown in jail for. Mm-hmm. France today recommends children get vaccinated against 14 compared to the 11 that the U.S. now will recommend. Yep. Most high-income countries recommend vaccines against a dozen to 15 serious pathogens, according to a recent review, a group that works to safeguard vaccine use. Yep. Doctors group, of course, intelligent doctors are going to look at the science and say, yep. Non-political doctors who actually are scientists are going to look at it, and they aren't paid like these other doctors are. We're going to follow the old CDC with our children that are getting vaccines. Um, yeah, flu. Why would you not get the flu shot, right? Rotavirus could come roaring back. Vaccination erodes. Yep. It's a diarrheal disease. Once hospitalized thousands of children every winter. So without input from an advisory committee, since senior officials at HHS, so nobody with any real medical experience made this decision. Yeah. Kennedy is a longtime vaccine skeptic for sure. He is an anti-vax. So we have an anti-vax person ahead of the health and human services of our country. That's how stupid he is. That's how stupid Trump is. That's how stupid Congress is for allowing him to be assigned or to be confirmed for that job. Yeah, doesn't recommend COVID-19 vaccines for healthy children and pregnant women. Everybody questioned that because there's no data to say that they shouldn't get it. He fired the entire 17-member vaccine advisory committee. Yep, and it installed his own replacements, including anti-vax people. So the people making these recommendations are anti-vaccine. That should tell you all you need to know. Oh yeah. Oh, don't forget the Kennedy coming out and saying that vaccines cause autism, like straight up saying it, and no evidence. Yeah. So you know, everybody in the Trump administration is an idiot. Everybody that Congress confirmed is an idiot. But you know what? RFK Jr., he takes the cake. He is the biggest idiot in the Trump administration, I gotta say. This next one is a real good thing. So this is a tweet by Homeland Security saying, no room at the end. Hilton Hotels has launched a coordinated campaign in Minneapolis to refuse service to law enforcement. Let me blow this up a little bit for you. Can I zoom in? No. Okay. Oh, it won't let me anymore. Okay. So when officers attempted to book rooms using official government emails and rates, Hilton Hotels maliciously canceled their reservations. This is unacceptable. Why is Hilton Hotels siding with murderers and rapists to deliberately undermine and impede DHS law enforcement for their mission to enforce? So here is the yeah. So Hilton Hotels is canceling all of in Minnesota is canceling all of the reservations made by ICE and Department of Homeland Security officials. It's fantastic. Absolutely love it. Hilton has earned my respect in Minnesota. 100% will stay there. That is the way to do it. And you know what? They can refuse, they have the right to refuse service to anybody. So in this case, good on you. Um, okay, let's see what this is. I don't know why I flagged this, but let's read it. Okay, so let's read this. The DOJ on Sunday told a federal judge that the military's stunning late-night capture of Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro, now in the U.S., narco terrorism conspiracy and cocaine importation conspiracy indictment has created a fluid situation that means the Trump administration needs more time to come up with remedies in Alien Enemies Act litigation. The brief weekend filing from the government to Chief U.S. District, the jurist repeatedly stymied in his efforts to push forward a contempt probe into whether his orders were willfully criminally ignored last year, sought a 1 week extension to evaluate and determine what remedies are possible. Okay, so the cited rule that they're looking for is before filing any non-dispositive motion in a civil action, counsel shall discuss the anticipated motion with opposing counsel in good faith to determine whether there is any opposition. Okay. Okay, so basically this was going with the illegal deportation of Venezuelans and with the Alien Enemies Act, okay, litigation, because they're saying that the people here are illegal aliens and they're enemies of the state. All right, so later on Monday, after DOJ confirmed it conferred with the plaintiffs and disagreed on a limitation for future potential, he granted a 7-day extension in order that government shall submit its proposal to facilitate the return of plaintiffs to the United States or to otherwise provide them with hearings that satisfy the requirements of due process. Okay, so this comes down to the people that they sent to CICOT, uh, that they are having to return them to the United States. Again, he asked for uh, a remedy to the situation. He wants to know what the fuck they're doing about the situation, is what it is. Okay, so this next one is another post on Twitter. BBC journalists have been banned from describing the kidnapping of Venezuelan leader as having been kidnapped. The BBC news editor has sent this to BBC journalists. To ensure clarity and consistency as our reporting, please follow these guidelines when describing the recent events in Venezuela. Captured. Please attribute this to the U.S. description of the operation. Example, the U.S. said Maduro was captured during the operation. Seized. Acceptable for use in our own reporting where appropriate. Avoid using kidnap. Thanks for keeping this in mind as you work on related stories. So even the BBC is trying to control the media so that people don't hear that he was kidnapped. So yeah, the thing about the internet though is we already know that. We already know he was kidnapped. We are that these old ass motherfuckers don't realize that there is nothing that isn't recorded today. Nothing. Everything is recorded, and it gets out there, right? Let me go check my beans again. Okay, we got a couple more things to talk about here. We're about to talk to you about Pam Bondi. Okay, let me make sure. Okay. Man, this is kind of annoying here. Okay, here we go. Bondi accused of Epstein's file cover up after blowing off deadlines 100%. Venezuela might be top of the agenda as Congress returns from its holiday recess, but they have not forgotten that Trump has missed a key deadline regarding Epstein. Chuck Schumer, who is an impotent piece of shit, slammed the Justice Department. No, he didn't slam shit. He can't even slam his foot on the floor, break his fucking hip. Okay, he noted in a post that it was required to include a list of all government officials and politically exposed persons named or referenced in the released materials without redactions. What are they trying to hide? We know what they're trying to hide, stupid. January 3 deadline to explain its redactions. All right, it's just more talk. In a stunning admission just before Christmas, Justice Department revealed it had discovered over 1 million more files in the Southern District of New York, as it revealed the Justice Department was scrambling to recruit 400 lawyers to help review 5.2 millions of pages. So, less than 40,000 pages released since December 19th, heavily redacted, none of the key documents, and no new information on the 10 alleged Epstein co-conspirators. He warned that Congress does not even truly know how many more files there are to be released and accused the Justice Department of lawlessness. All right, so this is all just prattle, right? Like, this is all just talk. Because you know who has the power to do something? Congress. But they won't. So, yeah. All right. Now, let's talk about McDonald's. So this we're gonna see, but from what I've heard, this is a sensationalist title right here. McDonald's CEO blames broke customers. I've heard that this is false, so we're gonna read the article and we're gonna see how shitty this title is right here, and then we should email Tom Peterson and tell him that his title is a piece of shit. So let's go. Oh, McDonald's CEO Instagram video on December 10th. Oh, is there a video? Okay. Ignited backlash as young workers grapple with elevated unemployment and soaring fast food prices, exposing raw tension between executive compensation with frontline realities. Yeah. Fast food is no longer cheap. It's not a poor option anymore. Chris Kempczynski, McDonald's CEO, shared a video titled Tough Love with the McDonald's CEO to his 50,000 plus Instagram followers. He stressed that nobody cares about your career as much as you do. Sure, that's true. Urging employees to own it and make things happen. Not for you, dude. The direct tone aimed at personal accountability but struck many as disconnected amid broader economic pressures facing low-income workers, for sure. His 2024, he was paid 18.2 million. Yeah, about $50,000 a day, which is the average worker at McDonald's makes 17,492, which is a ratio of 1,014 to 1. Yeah, exactly. He's making 18 million a year. They're making 17,500 a year. He doesn't know shit. The post arrived as Gen Z unemployment hits 10.5%, with recent college graduates facing some of the highest unemployment rates in decades. Yeah, it's a lot. Price surges fuel consumer strain. Yeah, we know prices rose a ton, right? Um, Labor tensions faces persistent activism. Yep. The episode highlights privilege gaps for sure. Huh. Yeah, it basically comes down to, all right, billionaires and millionaires. All right, billionaires and millionaires. They are the biggest plague in this country right now. If we were to take them all out, line them up, and shoot them all, this country would be a better place. Every single one of them. Get rid of them. Don't need them. Get rid of them. They are locusts. And they really need to understand how badly they are outnumbered. Let's see. There are roughly 24 million millionaires in the United States and 900 billionaires. So, say 24 million. There are over 10 times that amount of people in the country. I'm sorry, 100 times. So, they really need to cut this shit out, man. We've seen what happens. Getting old. We've seen what happens when the separation between the top and the bottom become too big. There's quite a bit of historical uh, significance in what's happening right now. there are quite a few occurrences where this type of thing has happened, and it has not turned out good for the rich and powerful, because they learn that they're not very rich and powerful when they're faced with hundreds of millions of people coming after them. It's that simple. So, with that being said, the biggest problem in the United States right now are millionaires and billionaires. And yep, I'm going to say all millionaires. Even the little dude who's making $1 million and $1,000,001. You're a problem too. So, anyway, let's go ahead and everybody have a good evening. I'm going to get my beans taken care of, get the kids to bed, and we will see all of